And the other thing that like I think we need to talk about with Willie Mays is that when we talk about television, right? And you and I have talked about the 50s and everything. The home run derby you see today started, and he's not the only one, but they put together a television package, it was at Dodger Stadium, and I want to say it was like 1960 or so. I think the first ever one was Mantle versus Mays.
And they would go in when Mantle was hitting the ball, or when he was in the batter's box participating in the home run derby, Mays would go to the booth.
Yes.
And he'd sit next to the announcer, and the announcer would ask him questions, and it was great. The black and white videos of those.
So like during COVID, I went back and I watched a lot of those old ones, and it's what you see today, he had a huge part in. And I know we're going to talk about that 24-time All-Stars. They did play a couple. There were 2 in one season to kind of grow the game. That's why,
because he played 22 years, made 24 All-Star games. Pretty sick.
Yeah, but him and Sam Usual, he's not the only one.
Yeah, no doubt, but he's up there. But the fact that he played 24 or 22 years,
you know what I say?
Pretty sick.
I say, well, give him 2 extra Gold Gloves for the couple of years he didn't have the Gold Glove award out there. He deserves to be a 15-time Gold Glove.
Here's why Willie Mays plays stickball. We're going to get to Deli Boy next. Willie Mays plays stickball with the kids.
The kids found out that I could play stickball, and they knocked on my window every day. In the South, we didn't call it stickball. We call it like broom ball. And that's how I learned how to hit the ball. We take the mop, cut the head off, and now we got a long stick. When they bounce and come up to me, I could hit it a long ways.
So a lot of the mornings he would play stickball with the kids in the streets of Harlem, and then afterward treat them to cake and ice cream.
All the kids, they come by like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. I had to play for about an hour. When I play night game, I go out to play stickball with the guys about 3 or 4 o'clock, and then I go to ballpark all the time. And the kids enjoyed that.
That was from the Say Hey Willie Mays doc. You heard John Shea in there, who's wrote a book about Willie Mays. That is awesome. Let's go to Deli Boy. Deli Boy, here in the morning, Russ on 95.7 The Game. What's happening?
Hey, good morning, guys. It's a sad day for all of us today. The first thought that I had when I heard the news was my father, who Willie was his favorite player. I just thought about his jersey that he would wear at every softball game. So I got a little teared up. But the man was a bigger icon than I think that we even know. I mean, he was coast to coast. He was your favorite player. He was probably your favorite player's favorite player. And, the stats don't do it justice. I mean, you could talk about the 24 All-Star games, and you could talk about how if he knew about 40-40, he would have done it. I know he's got multiple 30-30 seasons. He's also a hero. The guy took a year off and served in the military during the Korean War. So he wasn't just some great baseball player. He was a great American. And it's just a sad day. And I know that all Giants fans right now are just in their feelings, and it's just it's tough. I never saw him play, but the way that my dad talked about him was that he was the greatest, and that he had such unbridled passion for the game, and that he had such a huge spirit off the field, and that how people would talk about him, and how that's how you should play the game, is give it your all and go all out and love the game first and foremost. Just love the game, and it's just a tough day, And you talk about his stats, and he took a year off. That's 20, 30 home runs. He could have had 700 if he didn't play at Candlestick and had to adjust his swing to go to right field. He could have had more. He could have broken Babe Ruth. That's in theory. It's just crazy the amount of. Joe.
You went. And this is my brother here. You went to the Barry Bonds retirement game, right?
Yes, I did. I was there when he was when he asked the Hall of Fame to put him in.
Yep.
And that was you could tell that was one of his, just the way his voice was cracking. It just felt like he really wanted that to happen. He was hoping that Cooperstown could hear him and say, please put him in. That was a tough day.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, Deli Boy, being at that stadium. And I was thinking, like, damn, how long for Willie, man? That's what went through my head. I was like, man, are we losing Willie soon? And, because I know exactly what you're talking about. To make that plea at that point, it felt like Willie was telling us all. I was like, I don't have too much longer, man. Get my boy into the Hall of Fame.
And I was just at work the other day, and last week we were just talking about Willie. Even now we still bring up Willie, and we were talking about his stats, and we were saying, how old is he? Oh, he's 93 years old. Wow. We haven't really heard anything from him lately. I wonder how he's doing, and then you hear this and you just break down. I know it's 2 days before that he was supposed to be celebrated, but I mean, this is an icon in baseball. We should be celebrating him every day.
Dad loved him so much. It was like Willie Mays and then a Grand Canyon of players, and I'm sure there are hundreds of zillions.
It wasn't just a plateau. I mean, it was Willie Mays and everybody else. And you could talk about how he loved Joe Montana. He loved Rick Barry. But Willie was something different. Roberto Clemente was one of his favorites.
He loved Roberto Clemente.
Willie Mays was something else. He was head and shoulders above his favorite player. He even had the catch in his garage in a frame that's right there. He loved Willie with a passion, and he wanted to play like Willie. When you saw him on the field, he wanted to be like Willie. He thought he could make those plays, but by the end, he looked more like Willie from the Mets than
One last thing, Pat, before you get on out of here. I remember I was maybe close to a year ago, Bill Lasky hits me up and he's like, hey, I need you to, sew up some gloves for a guy that I know who's like a collector. I'm like, all right, cool. Bring those gloves by. Well, he brings me by this Rawlings glove from the 1960s that was like a Roger Maris edition glove. And then there's a McGregor Willie Mays glove. And I go, Bill,
I remember that.
Where did you get this Willie Mays glove? And it needed to be restringed. And he goes, rumor has it this touched Willie Mays' hand. I go, no way, Will. Give me a break. And he's like, no, that's the rumor. And so I strung it up, and then I brought it to Dad, and me and Dad played catch with it before I gave it back to that guy. And my dad thought that was the coolest freaking thing of all time. Remember when I did that, Pops? With Pops?
Oh, he had a smile on his face for about a week. He couldn't put it down. He was just he felt like a little kid. You could tell the 10-year-old boy in him.
Yep.
It looked like he was standing in front of his idol. Just how happy he was, and it's just even then, maybe holding a glove that Willie Mays may or may have not played. He was so he was so just like, wow. That's how Willie Mays is to a lot of us and to a lot of Giants fans, and to a lot of us, we saw Barry Bonds as being the greatest baseball player, but then you hear about the players that played with Barry and they're a little older, and they're saying, yeah, Barry was great. Willie was something else. Willie was different. Love you guys.
Great call, Dilly Boy. Great call. You practice your Jordan fadeaway in the backyard.
Of course.
Growing up, you try to get the hang time, right? Or you try to practice the layup he hit in Game 2 of the 91 NBA Finals against the LA Lakers. You try to go left or right, whatever. Right? It was like, you try to do that. You try to emulate that. You try to emulate some of the great home run calls or whatnot, but the basket catch was always emulated on a baseball field.
Of course.
Over and over and over again. I remember one time I thought I made one in middle school, right? And I was like, oh, man, that's a Willie Mays catch, right? And I remember I played Little League Baseball, Coach to Spade, with the Hawks. I go, hey, man, I made a Willie Mays catch back for middle school last week, man. He looked at me, he was like, son, nobody makes that catch. There's no chance you made that. Like, he got mad at me. He was like, dude, don't you ever disrespect Willie Mays like that, because we all tried to practice it and emulate it. So there's only a few things that you do. We got a lot of sound here. Vince Scully on when he met Willie Mays, 888-957-9570. The stories that's coming in today are just amazing. Let's get one more in from Schleprock. Schleprock in the city. Long time no talk, Schleprock. What's happening?
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ironic. I'm sitting over here at Hunters Point. Nibby Brothers got a big job over here, and I'm just looking across the bay where Candlestick used to be. But I've got a bunch of hustles that I do, and I've been fortunate to work a few jobs that have put me on the field at the Super Bowl in Santa Clara, glad handing in a tunnel with a bunch of MVPs because they brought all the previous MVPs, Elway, Lynch Swan, the likes. I'm in the elevator with what's his name, the tight end Gonzalez.
Tony
I'm on the
Gonzalez,
sidelines.
yeah.
Yep, Tony Gonzalez. I'm side to side, shoulder to shoulder with the running back, Marshall Falk. So I've been around these guys. I've seen these guys. I was on the 50-yard line when Richard Sherman and took the turkey and all that on the Sunday night game at Thanksgiving night. But nothing compares to the night that I was doing one of my hustles. I was a limo driver, and I had a client to pick up in Atherton, and it was May Mays. Turned out to be Willie Mays' wife for a Christmas party in San Francisco, and we had to go to the Oakland Hills to pick up another one of their friends. Their last name was the Browns or whatever. So I'm in the car with these people, and unfortunately Willie was in New York, but nothing compares to just knowing that I was at Willie's house, there in Atherton. And it's a tough one. This one in the Kobe Bryant, different eras and stuff like that, but this one's hitting hard. And going back to my days as a kid in the 70s, my three players were Willie Mays, Vita Blue, Reggie Jackson, and Brooks Robinson. Those were my guys that I followed. But you knew it was going to come because, Willie's been around for so long. And granted, like you said, he wasn't embraced when he first arrived. And McCovey was a bigger draw, after he got here. But can you imagine being on the bench in one of those 20 or so plus years that Mays was on that all-star roster, and how he used to change things up and scratch this guy out, put this guy here, and he'd get in the on deck and swing like three bats to warm up. Yep. It's just, you start thinking back and going nostalgic, and this one's a tough one. I'm glad you guys are doing this, and Millie, gonna miss you, Willie.
Good call.
So Barry Bonds had a statement on Instagram. I am beyond devastated and overcome with emotion. I have no words to describe what you mean to me. You helped shape me to be who I am today. Thank you for being my godfather and always being there. Give my dad a hug for me. Rest in peace, Willie. I love you forever. #say hey.